Stefano.
Clip clop indeed. Sop. Bish.
What is how does it hang?
A little to the left.
Hello. Little to the right.
So, you fuckers know the drill. Give me d20s.
Lee, did you do something?
I wish.
My character did.
I wish. I don't have any degree of coding skills. I can't seem to find any way to trigger the dice to roll toward a specific thing more particularly. You just are cursed. In the most genuine way I can state this. You're cursed. So it's a good sign starting off with a 1.
I was gonna say, if Connor rolls a 1, do they have to like fight for it?
Yeah, we have to roulette it. Yeah, we have to roll it.
They have to fight to the death.
But no, I got a 2, so I'm fine.
Okay. Well, you know the dealio.
Yes, we do.
Kerbal Space Program. In as much detail as you can remember, feel free to tell us what the fuck.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've had such a shitty week, and it's been 2 weeks. I honestly can't remember anything what happened last time. I'm sorry.
Does anyone want to give him a hand?
Sure. I don't remember the greatest amount in the fullest of details, but what I can tell you is that we had fun little conversations with the white mind things, and yeah, they gave us in a detail that the youngling and the orb/egg that was low-key prophesized that, well, heavily hinted towards that we need to trigger some form of event for the towers, if you will. But we got told, no, little hatchling cannot leave until the audience have arrived. The king, the father, the mother, the people. So yeah, long story short, we seen what they can do, and we thought, nah, we ain't going to fuck with that. We shall wait until the people, well, quote, quote, the people, the father, the mother, the king have arrived. And if we are so lucky to be summoned for an audience, then we will attend. But other than that, little Mozilla made friendlings with the little hatchling. It was like, yeah, I'll be your BFF, and I'll come back and I'll teach you some stuff. I possess one thing that I like more than my pouch of gold: knowledge.
A bit of knowledge.
So yeah, and after that we kind of made our way back, unimpeded thankfully, and we chilled for a bit. Then we moved on, and then, yeah, not really much happened other than travel, and the main gist of the session was just dialogue about the events of the hatchling and recovering from a fight of fighting the Kraken, and also being disappointed to find that the Kraken had dissolved somewhat. And we finished the session, I think, at a crossroads of deciding what we were to do, whether to go to the Wendell village back to report, or to just stop at the Ferron forward base. But we kind of all agreed to have another discussion about what we were to do on that front on the next session, which is today.
Yeah.
Other than that, anything that I've left out at all?
Other than being ultra specific, no, I don't think so.
Well, I didn't feel I was that ultra specific, but if I
No,
was,
no, I'm
fantastic.
saying other than having to be ultra specific, that's about it.
That's good. I'll take it either way.
So yeah, what do you guys want to do at the minute? You are within a 10 minute walk of the forward base. It would be in around the afternoon, about 4, maybe 5 p.m. You can continue walking for a couple more days and get to Windle, or you can see how the people at the forward base are doing. Maybe track down the Triceratops as well, if you felt frisky. It's up to you.
Frisky.
But what do you guys want to do?
To be honest, in my opinion, and this is only in my opinion, I felt it was more urgent we made our way to Wendell Village to basically relay the information that we had from the past events that we have just been through. But I'm not overly fussed if other people want to make a stop at the Homebase, but that's for everyone else to decide.
Yeah, I mean, we're already on the way. I mean, it's already on the way, so we can, like, make a short pit stop and then go to the village. That's what I think. Because, it just, hey, we got the thing. That's it.
Yes, that's a good plan.
Stefano?
I will tell you one thing. The Dissert doesn't want to speak to the mean lady. That is her only stance on this.
Lisa won't have to speak to the mean lady. How about that?
Then maybe he can be persuaded with snacks.
She can hunt her own snacks better than what all of us can provide, I think.
So, say those of you who want to go to Windle.
Aye.
Say those of you who would like to go to the forward base first.
Aye. Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, diplomacy, what can I say?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So,
We can go there later. It's not like they're going to run away.
Mm.
B.
mm,
Die. B.
yes.
Nothing. I just knew.
Mm. Do you? Do you really? Do you know my plots and my plans? Do you know the sinister things I lurk within the dark?
I know it involves killing people, so.
Usually. Okay, well, as you guys are walking along, you will have made it audible who wants to do what, but the general consensus is you're tired. Some of you aren't exactly in favour with a certain woman and would not enjoy her company. Mostly, you all want to just stop for a little while. You don't want any of the diplomatic, political, or any of that, or any chance of a fight. And so, continuing forward, somebody give me a D10.
I think Varnick should go.
Go.
Should I roll it then?
Too late.
Thank God, mercy.
Fucking meow. Okay, give me a second to find it. Random table. Okay. So, over the next, what's essentially a day and a half, there's nothing that really blocks your path. In the sky above, it's mostly cloudy. The sun is there, but for the most part, you can just about barely see it. A couple of rain clouds start gathering in the distance from back where you were, towards where the Razorback Clan's mountain is. You see them gathering very deeply in the sky and coalescing quite a bit around the top of the mountain. And off in the distance, it looks to be thunder and little sparks of lightning here and there, but you guys are miles and miles and miles and miles and miles and miles away from it. And because you have no impediment, you get another day and a half's worth of travel, and you are now, technically speaking, 12 hours away from Wendell. Everybody reduce 1 day's worth of rations, please.
Okay. Heat. Ooh. Let's see here.
As well, can everybody roll me a d20?
Everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Demand so much of me.
Okay. As you guys, on the last couple of hours of the journey, begin making your way back, you start to recognize some of the leafage, the foliage, and some trees that have the gentle bowing, and the area itself has that kind of same sea wafted scent. And as you are walking along, off in the distance you can see little plumes of smoke enveloping the canopy. And as you're moving along, there seems to be a series of small layers of rope that are left taut against some trees, as well as a couple of other traps you guys are finding as you're walking along. In the case of Varnex and, funnily enough, both monks, Varnex and Atlesia, can the pair of you make me a survival check?
Survival, where you are, I can be. Oof.
Okay. I mean, at least we're consistent with the monks. As you're all walking along, you guys will be paying a degree of attention. You know that this area seems to be some kind of hunting grounds of some kind, or maybe it's just something new that the village itself has made recently. It's a bit unclear. You can see what look to be like typical rope traps that would make something fall over. You see a couple of bear traps here and there that are slightly rusted at the edges. You can see a couple of what look to be like bowing trees that have these little bits of rope tied around it that seems to be pulling it down, but you can't exactly tell where the rope leads from. And as our monks in particular are following along, the pair of you unfortunately manage to trigger a trap at the last moment as you notice it. You feel both of your ankles are swept up and you are thrown up into the air, but you're not knocked prone, as whatever it is instead catches and binds around one of each of your legs and hoists you 15 feet into the air. And you are held upside down underneath a bowing tree. And as you two are,
This is not cool.
as you are both dragged up into the air, almost immediately there's the sounds of scuttling in the trees all around all of you. What do you guys want to do?
Well, I'd like to get free.
I'd like to try and cut the rope as well.
Make an attack roll, Varnex, with whatever you're using to cut yourself free with. And Atlesia, what are you doing for the same? Or are you just going to spike?
Yeah, spike, claw, you know.
Same thing then, roll an attack.
You get it.
Okay. Show me the damage.
Oh yeah, didn't go.
Nice. Okay. So as the pair of you tear through the rope, pretty quickly, luckily, it will still take a couple of seconds to do so. But as you're tearing through it, the rest of the group on the ground, you each kind of hear and kind of see the ruffling in the trees. There's excess amounts of movement happening all around you all. There is a small glint of the tip of an arrow in amongst a set of bushes on a small hillside about 20 feet to the left of all of you. As those of you who aren't currently hanged upside down kind of turn looking around yourselves, a head pokes itself out from those bushes and pulls a hood off of its head, looks over toward you all, and you see the armour of the Theron Jinsei samurai. And as they look over toward you each with a kind of face of, we've seen these people before. You see they kind of just throw their hands up, waving around to generally everyone around you. And you see as the two monks drop, and I'm not even going to bother asking what do you do about falling because you're monks. You land with a gentle step. And as you each, in a circle or a spread or whatever it is that you would have been in, look around, you see people start to poke their heads out from the brush. And as they all look down toward you each, there's a good 10 to 12 Jinsei currently in separate bushes and behind trees, and some of them pseudo-camouflaged. And as they all reveal themselves, the one with the arrowhead comes walking down, puts his arrows back in the quiver, holds the bow to his side, slowly slides down the hillside and walks up to your group. Apologies, you do not appear to be one of the less than reputable natives. What brings you here? I feel as if I've met you before, possibly.
Carrick will step forward and give a bit of a flat face and say, locals? As for our business here, we are walking back to Windell Village to where the expedition is, and where our forward base is. As for how we know each other, we know the very man who commands your troops, and we also have had a meeting with
Hold on, I have the name. Hold on, I have the name.
That's the thing, I'm looking on here. Yeah, that's the one. We know your commander, captain, if you will, Urias, and we also had a meeting with Orion Zerline.
That might explain somewhat how I would recognize you. I feel as if I've been given a detailed description by Orion. Again, apologies. We were scouting and hunting, as well as preparing to give a feast to Windell. If you would like, as a degree of an apology, we can guide you back. We were obviously stalking for prey, but a guide, a defensive measure might be a better interest.
That's fine with us. We've just had a long journey. We've been scouting the far northeast section of the island, just shy of east from Razor, from the cliff sides over there, east of that, by the shoreline.
He kind of nods a little, looks in the distance. Okay, well, if you would he kind of points towards what looks to be towards where the sea is, toward where Windall is. We can gather our things and we'll follow you along now if that's fine, if you're ready.
That's absolutely fine. We were just making our way back there anyway, so if you want to come with us, we're happy to wait for you guys to get your things ready and move as soon as, well, to your convenience.
Also, I've got to say, we only set these traps maybe 2 hours ago. I'm rather surprised that we even caught any of you, though I'm more so surprised that you got out so easily. We don't make this out of simple materials. These are sturdy.
Well, it's been a long journey, so some of us are tired, but at the same time, it so happens to be that the two people that you did catch are, well, rather skilled martially. Monks, if you will.
Oh, shut the fuck up. We've had a bad day.
Do you say that in character?
Yes.
I sort of look back and look a bit like, sort of like I do a bit of a, sort of like a looking back at the samurai, being like, yeah, it's been a long journey.
There was no offense intended. I solely meant it's interesting that you got free so easily. These things are made to capture quite larger creatures than yourselves. The fact you got free it's slightly amazing. But
Is it enough to catch? Is it enough to tie down a kraken?
don't be foolish. Not on mainland, anyway.
That's something that we just killed about a day and a half ago. Wait, how many days would it have been since we
More
got?
days than that. Minimum of a week.
Yeah.
Well, about a week ago we killed a kraken, and we've been making our way back from that since.
Well, that's... He looks with that kind of... It's not like he doesn't believe you. And looking over each of you...
Baffled by it.
Yeah, it's more of a... Maybe he mistook it for something else. I mean, I'm not disbelieving, but... Yeah. Well,
I sort of look at him with that inquisitive look. Is he making it obvious that he's making that sort of face?
not particularly. He does kind of raise an eyebrow for a second, but he doesn't question you on it.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a day, so, well, it's been a day of travelling and, well, quite the week. I say that I'd take a sort of my hip flask out to just take a sip of water.
So, as he's been talking with you, every now and again someone has come by and kind of with an inquisitive look toward him. He's just given them a small nod or like pointed in a direction, and they've wandered off to pick up some bits of their gear and the like. And after a couple of minutes, a couple of them have large, what look to be like bamboo cases that they've got strapped over their shoulders like a bag, with assortments of what looks to be like minerals. Some have fruits and veg and wheat, and others have a full like thing of weapons, bows, spears, arrowheads, etc. And as they've collected everything up, they begin to walk. And as you guys all walk together, they start to show you each of the locations of their traps. You notice that near to where their traps are marked, on some of the trees there is what looks to be a X mark of a carving on the tree itself to designate how close they are to a trap. But it's very like small.
Hello. I'll ask the guy who's leading them how long they've been hunting around these parts for.
It would have only been in the last couple of hours, because they'd only just managed to set those traps.
Fair enough. And considering where they are, I'll sort of like inquire with the guy and just say and just sort of like ask, saying, well, well, trip that you've made here, you haven't come across any form of copper skin raptors, have you?
Do you mean the large creatures, sort of dinosaurs of some kind?
Yes.
A few of them, yes. One of them took one of my men and dragged it off somewhere.
Is it a particularly large one, or is it one that travels in packs?
There was a few of them. They weren't particularly large, maybe about the size of a slightly bigger child. They had very spined backs.
I'll give you a bit of information for free, considering, well, we are somewhat chummy neighbours at the moment. We came across a pack of them, and a man in our group is a druid, and he possesses the ability to talk to beasts. There so happened to be the alpha of the pack, if you will, amongst them when we encountered them the first time coming around these parts. We managed to strike a deal with it, but it gave us the very firm warning that we are not to travel on its turf, because, well, it was their hunting/breeding ground. So I'll extend that warning to you to tread carefully for when you are going hunting.
Well,
Because that one seemed very intelligent. Its pack, not so much, but that one alpha did not hesitate to kill one of its own to make a warning for the rest of them to follow its orders. But it's intelligent nonetheless.
I shall be back in 2 minutes. Hello. Hey.
So, how's your guys' week been so far? Nice weekend?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't complain.
nothing special. Yeah, how was Sweden? Oh hell.
It was horrible. We saw a Wednesday. We came back from lunch, and we were driving on the highway, and we saw there was like a fire in the distance because we could see smoke rising. And then one of the guys I was with, he was like, "Huh, you bet the factory burnt down whilst we were gone." And then we drive over to it. The factory's still there, but like a kilometer out or something, there's like a barn on fire.
Oh, bloody.
The day we were leaving, Thursday, we heard on the radio that 2 cars had exploded in some city.
Yes.
What else happened? Well, I think the only thing else that happened was that the breakfast on the ferry gave me the shits and made me puke when I came home.
Oh. So, from what I'm getting from Sweden, is it's quite terroristic over there, and that the food's not that great.
Yeah.
Am I right, sir?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Horrible. The
Well,
worst.
that forever changes my opinion of Sweden and how I picture it to be.
It should. It's very weird. Especially what is weird is what we were working on, setting up something for, was an ice cream factory. Mossy, do you know what the Swedish word for ice cream is?
No.
It's glass. So it's glass with 2 S's.
What?
Yes.
A glass factory.
Yes. It was called Sia glass because glass with 2 S's is ice cream. With 1 S, it's just glass, normal glass. Like you would know it.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense.
That's quite interesting.
Yep, they eat glass in Sweden. But yeah, other than that, I had a great better time when I came home. It was Carnival Saturday, so that was pretty cool.
But special occasion, just
It's just Carnival up here.
Oh, Stefan, I've just realised we might be in Tanya's bad books.
Oh, dude, I couldn't help myself. What the fuck, man?
She's emoted on my comment but I don't think
Yeah.
she took too kindly to me calling her Sakura.
No, probably not.
But you had the setup. You set up perfectly for me though, because you were like use that wide angle to get the whole forehead in frame. And she went, "Did you just say my forehead is big?" Frowny
Yeah.
face. I'm like, "Cover down, Sakura." I just could not help myself. What's Luke? I'm gonna ask. What's Lucas trying? Is Lucas either stirring the pot, or is he trying to get on Tanya's good side? She made more deference at him.
Good question. I wish I knew.
Yeah, because usually he's like, nah, fuck that. Yeah, I thought you'd be quite happy to watch this whole thing and be like, ha, or add to it, but he's, Or I think he just wants someone to go in the tribunal because it's not been used yet, has it?
No. No. I don't even have an idea of how officially we would use it.
I could probably think of it sort of like a witch trial. We sort of like bring the person to the cross, and then instead of burning, well, sticks for burning and an angry mob, it's just going to be a bunch of us hurling sort of like claims and accusations against the person who's been accused and being like, yeah, they did this, they did that.
I
But
guess.
yeah, at the
Yeah.
end of it, I don't really know what's going to happen.
I don't know either. I can
I
just
have a
tell you that.
feeling Hammy's trying to engineer like a spinning wheel on his wall and just add sort of like sticky tape punishments or sort of like stuff on it, and just he'll roll the wheel, sort of like Wheel of Fortune, but it's going to be more like Wheel of Misfortune.
I guess so, yeah. I can just tell you one thing. We will always, us Danes, band against the Swedes. It doesn't matter what, who is in the wrong.
Well, you say that, half the people in the server is probably just going to add things or just say things for the memes.
Probably, yeah.
I can't believe they got rid of the monster prawn room for that. Disgusting. That's no reviews, eh?
Ripping pepperoni.
Actually, wait, hold up. I say that. He's not deleted it yet.
Oh. It is Hammy, so he might have forgore.
Alright, you know, Stefan,
Hi.
if you could do me a massive favour,
Yeah.
and I will be happy to return any form of favour, do not mention anything about it.
Oh, easy.
Nice.
Because I didn't even know before you told me.
Yeah, just forget what I told you.
You told me what?
Whatever you do, do not bring it up to Hammy. Just be like, oh, I just noticed that you've not. Because if you said it, it'll be like, okay, done.
Oh yeah, I need to do it. Yeah.
So yeah, just forget and just don't tell him because he's
Dude.
currently on Discord right now.
Yeah, dude, he forgets. Yeah, I know he forgets everything. So we were playing Final Fantasy, and then he goes off. He's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna quickly say hi to the guys in the server. I'll be back." And then he doesn't come back, and I'm like, "Oh wait, I gotta go play D&D, guys. Bye." And I'm like, "Okay, bye, Ari Ray." So now Ari and Ray are sitting in there, and now the call has ended. So I think he forgot.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he's definitely forgotten because there's 5 of them in there. Chris is streaming, and it does look like he's streaming League. So
I'm actually gonna check. I'm just quickly gonna open up the launch to see if he's also playing.
yeah, it's because he doesn't share his game connectivities with his Discord.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I know for a fact he's playing. If he is,
Oh, you bet. Oh, you bet he is.
I was going to say I'd be very surprised if he isn't. But Lucas and Tim are in the room, so you know for a fact that Hammy's probably making up for the fact he forgot to hang out with him last week.
Probably, yeah.
And Lucas is probably milking it for everything.
Probably. Tim is a little bitch.
I was meaning Lucas, but
Oh, well, Lucas only does it with Tim. Tim is just like a bitch. Like Lucas today, woke up early. It wasn't early. I think it was 8, and then he was just like writing Tim like, "Oh yeah, I'm free to hang out," and Tim just doesn't respond, and he didn't do it all night, or all night like after they stopped or went to eat last night, and then he first texted him back like when he was going to bed. He was like, "Oh sorry, I went to bed," but then like when they're sitting and they're playing, he like if Chris doesn't answer them immediately, he just goes like, "Why the fuck is Chris not answering us? The fuck is he doing?" He's the biggest hypocrite there exists.
Yeah, he's. Well, do remember he is German, so German efficiency, you know. Oh man, I love always bringing that up when he says something's not exactly how it is. I'm like, ah, is that the German efficiency, Tim? He either gives me a hell yes or one.
German efficiency.
Hmm. But I've not actually played League of Legends properly in time. I played like a couple odd games last week,
Hmm.
but they've been like snippet of games, or I've been mainly playing TFT.
Nice.
Because I feel I've probably progressively gotten worse at League, but at the same time, I just really can't be bothered with League that much unless it's like a 5 stack or just a mess around game.
Well, I don't either. Like I don't play it solo ever.
Mm.
I never do that.
There are times I used to, but nowadays it's just too much effort. I might come back to playing League a bit more when they bring out the new behavioural system to see if that works. I'm not holding my breath if it works, but it'll be interesting to see how it functions.
Yeah.
Because the whole basically banning people from playing ranked if they are disruptive, accused of, well, actually fundamentally found guilty of intentionally feeding. That's actually quite a genius move, which, to be honest, I don't see why they've not done it sooner. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I can see the holes in the system of like when you can get yourself chat banned just by insulting yourself.
Yeah, but honest to God, I have no clue. I'm still very much in belief that there's just one guy who does all the coding. Like they just come in with a stack of papers in the morning and they just like do this, and he's just like, and he's just like trying to patch and repair anything that works. No idea what's going on.
Yeah, I can picture that actually.
Imagine like an entire set of just asset creators, modelers, artists and stuff like that, and then of course the lore writers. They have like a palace they're sitting in and they're eating grapes, and then there's this old computer from fucking 1995 running Vista. It's just one guy sitting there with a broken keyboard. It's just trying to make the game work.
Like the one genius being surrounded by the jocks and the hipsters.
That is honestly what I imagine. That game breaks in the weirdest ways I've ever seen.
Yeah. I remember back in the day, and I mean way back in the day before Mark Merrill and all that somewhat became cool. And were counted as legitimate nerds still. Um, the weirdest, I think the weirdest thing I ever saw was, oh, what did I do?
I don't
I think I
know,
was
but it was
playing as
probably
Ramus.
illegal.
Hello, Lee. I think I played Ramus, and I did the whole thing of when Revive used to be in the game, and you get like 100% speed boost. I managed to roll through the material of the game and went straight through Baron Pit and suddenly appeared in the enemy spawn because I went through texture material and for some reason it messed up their system and it spawned me in the enemy nexus somehow, and it was like, what the fuck? Oh, good times. Hello, Lee. Welcome back.
Hi. Okay. A through Z, you guys are back at base.
Oh, nice.
Doodle-doodle-doodle-boop. And obviously, you have a couple more companions. So let me. Halfir is for some reason still not on the map, unless I'm not seeing him properly.
I'll put myself at the front and just move forward a little bit so you can fit more things up.
Oh no, that's not a problem. Don't worry about that.
Oh, fair enough.
I'll find a reason.
I can always move myself back if you want. Nah, I'll
the
keep it.
fuck are they? Anyway, yeah, you guys return. What you wanna do?
One thing I forgot to add is you said that the Baron hunting party that we encountered were hunting things and planning to come here anyway.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that if they were planning to come here anyway, that pretty much that they're expected to be making their way here, or is it just going to be like a surprise that they're here and they're like, "Hey, we've brought you food for the feast."
You gotta find out, I suppose.
Fair enough. I'll make the small talk with the guy who can actually talk common and say, "So is you expected by Reginald and the chief of the village, or is this your first time making your way here?"
This will be the first time any of us have come here. We were told to come along and offer some wares in return to show what we generally are about from our home country. And it's a mode of peace between us.
Happy days. I think your encounter with us will make things slightly easier due to the fact that, well, as we're quite frequent back and forth here, they might not question you guys being with us as much and make your entrance here being a little more friendly and not as intimidating, as you guys don't really know each other.
We do have a missive from Orion.
That's true. Urias did have talks with Reginald, so I do have the feeling that if you do mention, well, basically who your higher ups are, you'll be let in nonetheless. But the guards will be fine to let you guys through if you're with us anyway. They won't be as stiff at the gate. But anyways, I'd say we should make our way through. You have business to attend to, and we have business as well.
Sort of nods a little bit and looks around at all the trees, and you see him and his people are kind of looking and enjoying the view. It seems in a weird way they've not seen trees like this before that bow slightly or reach the what would be a building's height. They are from a place that is predominantly nature touched and very spiritual in nature, but seeing trees of this description is something of an interest. And as you're all moving forward toward the gate, they kind of move sort of in between you all to a degree, trying to like stay out of each other's way but also out of your way. with the tons of different footprints stomping along. The guard at the gate seemingly was already prepared and has a few people with him, not blocking the path, but they're in the way of it. And as you guys come walking around the corner, firstly, Severus, as he's walking along with you all behind him, towering over as he does, just looks ahead, looks over toward them, looks beyond toward the food, and his eyebrows raise a little bit. Lilith looks over toward them, gives them a little wave, and you guys just make yourselves known. Of course, then the small army of people with the Jinsei garb starts to move along as well.
I'll look to the guard here and I'll just mention to him and just say, we've met these people from Farron along the way. They've been sent as an envoy to offer wares, goods, and also offer to share food.
You see, one
if you want to
of the guys at the back
find
have already noted towards someone.
Oh boy.
And as she steps forward, her hands are currently in the pockets of her long coat that has what looks to be underneath it a decent chest piece and a couple of like ankle and kneecap pieces. She's even got these like iron gloves on. And she steps forward and looks.
Are we talking to the girl with a smile, and as she approaches, my smile will slowly drop? Because from the last exchange, we didn't really have the most pleasant exchange.
She looks you up and down as your face drops, and then turns over toward the Jinsei, who steps forward slowly, his arms just like spread a little bit, showing his open posture, showing that he's not here for anything sinister. Steps forward a little. The guard to the right here kind of readies the hammer that's over his shoulder, and he just looks over toward him with a slight corner stare. He raises his arms back a little further. Now tell me, what took you so long? The missive was sent days ago. And then Jinsei steps forward slowly, looking over at the guy who's readying the hammer. Oh, put the damn thing down. You know for sure he wouldn't have hit me if he tried. The guard kind of just...
Lady, you know what a kraken is?
I sort of look to Sol and I just say, I think she's talking to him and not us.
Ah, sorry.
The Jinsei steps forward, and she kind of looks down at him. He slowly reaches into his pocket, just kind of looking around for a second, pulls out a small sealed letter, passes it to her. She takes it, looks at the seal itself, tears at the edge of it with her teeth, pulls the letter, the whole top half of the letter off, using the seal as a hoist, spits it toward the ground. You see the Jinsei gets kind of antsy at that for a moment, but he doesn't actively doing anything, though his body language suddenly goes from, I'm open, this is fine, it's just communication, to just, what the fuck? And as she spits it toward the ground, she pulls the letter out, flicks it open and looks at it. As she's keeping an eye on him as she flicks the letter open, she then turns around and looks toward it, scans it very thoroughly, very quickly, puts it back in the envelope and puts underneath her armor. Good. At least you can prove who you are. Your men will stay outside, you will follow me. We have a lot to discuss. And there's this moment where he's like, his back tenses, the Jinsei's back tenses, as if he wants to say something, but he respects the status quo.
I'm gonna walk forward slightly.
You are not invited.
I sort of look and I just sort of like pull a bit of a frown. I sort of walk over, pat my hand on the man's back, and I just say, of course, I kind of assumed we wouldn't be, so it's fine. I've just come to ask if Reginald is about. because I have business to uptake with him if he's not busy. If he is, I'm happy to wait.
She raises her head up a little, the chin pointing up slightly. As she turns away, the coat billowing around with her, she motions for the Jinsei to follow, and as she starts walking, she says, "You know where his office is." And then,
Okay, I'm assuming he's free then. Pleasure as always, by the way.
and they,
Says it
wander
very
off.
sarkily.
As they wander off, the guards kind of loosely separate. Two remain to make sure that the orders are kept. Everyone else, though, you can kind of wander in and do as you do.
I zoom into the table.
Did they get did Gensei's remaining troops get the order to stand by?
They appear to be accepting what was said as how it is. You see, as a couple of them are like pulling out these satchels and small folded paper wraps of food, and they're just kind of sitting down in around the trees in the open, just looking out toward the wildlife every now and again. Some of them appear a bit antsy, but it's mostly just them accepting it for what it is. They're here for a mission.
I sort of like looked at the guy who I was talking to at first and just exchange small talk and be like, "So, much happened much here this week?"
He kind of raises an eyebrow, looks at you. His face is kind of, he's got that kind of like slightly chunky face, and he kind of like furrows his brows a little, looking at you, and then it's that effect of he's looking down at you, and is also kind of confused as to why you're talking to someone of his station. And then he just goes, "Not really, it's just a village, and we're guarding it against mostly small dinosaurs, so... Why, what do you want?"
Oh, just wondering. It's been a week since we've left off for our expedition investigating the Sahagan situation. Just wondering if anything of mentioned happened here, that's all. Because it's been a bit of a week for us. Making small talk, if you will. With other people that isn't that lot.
Kind of just stares for a minute, looks over toward the Jinsei again, trying not to be distracted. Nothing. Feasts, drinking. Same old. Kind of a boring gig, to be honest.
Well, it is what it is. Duty and more or less upholding the honour of your village to protect it is honourable.
I'm a
Well said.
mercenary, this ain't my village.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, yeah, job's a job then. I could say that from experience. But right, I won't upkeep your attention too much, mate. And I'll sort of like attempt to pat him on the shoulder as I pass him.
As you get a little bit closer and there's that intent, the eyes stare, and he watches your movement, but as your hand connects, there's no resistance or anything, but he does watch.
I sort of look as he's watching over me and just say, No, I don't bite. Plus, you're taller than me, so you know. You probably know you're stronger than me, right? So there's no need to worry about me whatsoever. I pull a bit of a grin and a bit of a frown because I take slightly pissed off of the fact he's slightly looking down on me because he's taller.
Kind of just stares for a minute as you're walking past, keeping an eye. Have you ever heard of the story of the snake and the bear?
I stop as he says that, and with one foot hovered. And I take a step back and I look and I just say, Can't say I'm too familiar with that. Feel free to go on if it doesn't distract you too much, mate.
Its head kind of like tilted a little bit that he still sees the Jinsei, but also can still see your hand, or at least your shoulder anyway. Well, the rumor goes that the snake slithering in the grass is a much scarier enemy than the meaty and mighty bear in front of you. The bear, you can see what it's gonna do. The snake, it'll get you while you're not looking. The snake, of course, would be mightier than the bear in longevity. If it struck the bear, it might stomp it, it might claw it, it might even bite its fucking head off. But if the snake gets even one bite, the bear's probably doomed to its death. So in terms of your stature being a problem, it doesn't matter who or what you are. I will keep my eye on anyone who attempts to get close, just in case they try to bite, regardless of how tiny or painless the bite is. Any can be lethal if you're not careful. Take that story as a warning for the future.
I keep the grin, but I relax my one eyebrow slightly and I just say, warning, eh? I'll keep that in mind. But like the moral of your story, like the snake, you could say I'm full of surprises. And I'll end it there and as I walk on.
And as you're walking away, when he feels you're a good enough distance away, his head slowly turns back towards the Jinsei, and the hammer remains over his shoulder, a little bit more relaxed, but still taut in his hand, ready to strike. As you all finally head back into the village, it's pretty much a lot of the same, really. There is a feast table set out. There's small spatterings of little bits of food left. Nothing of any real decent caliber. Most of it's already been taken apart. Given the general time frame they usually eat, and given what you can see of the sun in the sky above, you all believe it to be around about the 6 or 7 p.m. period. The sun slowly falling from the sky. What do you want to do?
I'm going to walk to the table. Well, just start walking on and see what people are doing. I'm probably going to walk towards Adric. But if anyone else wants to do anything before I have a conversation with them, feel free. I'll move myself here.
No, not really. Nothing in particular.
Kirby.
I'm just gonna sit by the fire and reflect on what is my life.
I'm guessing, Stefan, that you're, well, this is just going to be eating very happily.
I will literally just walk up to... Is there food on the table, Lee?
Yeah.
There's spare small bits here and there.
I will just... Yeah, good. I will just walk up, like half sit on the chair and like squat on the chair, and I'll just start eating what I can. I won't not say hello to anybody. I won't ask for anything. I'll just start doing it.
So, as you arrive and kind of just immediately sit down to start eating, the guy to the left of you is just about to turn, and you're already like just chewing on leftover bits of grubs and small cheese pieces, and even little like spatterings of small bits of blood from a little bit of the meat that had bled through. And the guy, as he turns to the right, is just about to say hello. He notices you're just like face full into the food, and just kind of throws his hand in the air, just like nope, not even. Turns back to his left, continues talking to the other guy across the table. Of course, you have a couple of the villagers who, now that you're here, just consuming. You notice you're not the only one faceful into what's left of this food. Seemingly Severus, the big, bearded, monstrous man who joined you all, is also like picking up bowls and just like throwing the contents into his mouth. And just next bowl, just like.
How tall is Severus?
I believe he was on the 7.5.
Ah, okay, good.
He's like real fucking tall.
I can just imagine this fucking
But
tiny figure.
he's barely
This
even
fucking
sitting
focused
down on the
man
chair.
who can't sit on the chair, just across from each other, and they're both just.
Oh. No. And yeah, and Edric and Brick are both sitting there, and the guy to the left of Brick is seemingly translating to Edric what they've been doing, and just as they chat back and forth, and they're like,
Hey, Adrian.
turns, "You alright? It's been a bit of a while. How you doing? You look to be slightly more scarred than I remembered."
How's the head?
I mean, I've never had complaints.
Not as groggy as you were, eh?
It has been about a week, to be fair, so I'm good. How about you?
Would be lying if I said I was in top shape, but it's kind of what happens when you go for an expedition to explore about the Sahagin and end up encountering a kraken.
So now, it's reasons like that you'd have been good with someone like me around, if it weren't for the... And he kind of like flicks his head as if to signify his head. Being a water boy, I could have helped a little bit with that. Maybe not so much the fighting a kraken thing, which I'm sorry, are you certain you know what a kraken is? That's not usually something people just casually bring up in conversation unless they're trying to flex about it.
To be honest, considering of how much of I sort of like put my hand on my head and said how much of a headache I've had for the entirety of a week from fighting it, I sure feel that I've sure got my right to brag about it. I didn't exactly land the killing blow. You'd be looking at a cracking killer over there. I point my finger at Sol.
Kind of looks over, gives you a nod to remark you, and just kind of finger guns toward you.
I finger gun back, of course.
So, the big killer himself, how was it?
Well, I was out for a lot of the fight, but I did have the pleasure of dealing the killing blow.
What'd you do? Did you throw
Ooh.
something into its throat and make it go?
You could say that. You could say that. I used this, and I show
It's something more flashy.
and I showed like the hand, like the chill touch hand, and let's just say got in one cavity, did the mayhem, and went out through the other.
You see that he kind of like he gags a little at that for a second, and then he just kind of just retracts whatever it is. Yeah, that's a little bit more graphic than I expected, but all right.
You asked for an explanation.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't dismissing you. I asked for the torture of it all. Real disgusting. Like it. Good job. Glad you're alive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Talking of being alive, well, I sort of look around the table and I just say, is Reginald busy? Because mainly what we came back for was to report our findings, and well, I see that the other party that we met up with is, well, one person missing.
Edric kind of just stares for a minute. I'm gonna be honest. The past week I've not really been doing all that much, just recovering, so I'm not really filled in with everything. But he's been a little bit stressy. You know when I don't know if your parents ever told you when if you make a certain face it stays like that. That's kind of been him for the last week. He's had this one set face, so I assume something real bad has happened.
Gonna assume as much. Well, considering they sent out a second party, we met up with Lilith Demay here and her bodyguard, and I sort of like head gesture at Severus,
As he's got-
currently face down in food.
As he's got a bowl in his mouth, his eyes just tilt and look down toward you, and he just raises one eyebrow and just gives a small wink, and then continues eating the food and drops the bowl.
I sort of like look back. To Adric, and I just say, believe it or not, it's probably been as charismatic as we've gotten out of him all week.
God looks over at Severus and just the sheer musculature from the man, and he just looks him up and down for a second and goes, well, in all honesty, looking at him, and also what's it? He looks over at Severus. What is with the shining thing that you're doing right now? Why are you glittery? Severus, like, as he's just pushing the ball into a centre of bowls that he and Nadissa have collected, pretty much getting rid of every scrap they can find at this point. Severus just looks over toward him, and then he looks at his clothes, which still have this gentle sparkling effect consistently, and Severus just raises his right hand, snaps his fingers, and you see little bits more of sparkles start to emit from his clothes, and you see this small glimmer of a bluish light underneath his armour, just around about where his chest is. And then he just says, magic. Well, okay.
How about that? He does talk.
And then Severus, looking over each of you, as he sparkles very gently, picks up a mug of ale and just starts drinking.
I sort of look back to Adric and just say, yeah, by the looks of it, I'm assuming that there's some form of big meeting going on, and do you know if Reginald's busy at this time and point?
You see as he leans back in his chair a little bit, looks toward the door to his little like cabin. You see the door's currently closed, but there is a small window into it, and he kind of like tries to look through. For what little I can see at the minute, he looks to be talking with Big Boss of the Merc Group and whoever you brought with you.
So he is a part of that talk as well. I guess I can't exactly just walk in, because keep this to yourself. I'm not exactly a big fan of the Big Chief. I sort of say the Big Chief. I go, is it right calling a woman a chief, or am I slightly being misogynistic in that front?
I mean, it's just a hierarchical term for a person of the village, so it's not really a gender thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Helenise, or whatever the hell her name is.
Elnalise, something like
Yeah,
that.
that's the one. Didn't really care for her name, and I don't think she really cared for mine. And it still seems to be that way, so...
Well, in fairness, we are sort of stepping on their territory. They were purchased by the expedition before us, and then we got called in to do the kind of work that they probably were going to do. So I'm not too surprised if she sees us as a competition or something.
Well, I could say we get the bonus point because we get the fun times of exploring, while from what I heard from the guards, well, one of the guards behind us, they find it rather boring guarding this bench.
He kind of just nods his head at you as if to say, "Yup, that."
Yeah, I can see probably why they're not exactly the happiest bunch. Considering one of them gave me a warning.
Yeah, you're not the only one on that one. They're here for the coin and they'll do their job, but they do get a bit rowdy sometimes.
If I wasn't feeling so tired, I'd probably tell them to put their money where their mouth is if it comes to pure strength.
Well, maybe we'll save that for when he turns and looks towards Savras and points toward him. Maybe we'll save that for Big Boy here at some point.
Well, I don't think they'd even dare to challenge that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll probably be down for challenging me, because, what can I say, I'm the short guy, but... Oh, kind of a surprise or two, but one of the guards did say you'd probably be more worried about me rather than a big guy anyway, so... I suppose I've got them on their toes.
Well, I think we've done enough shop talk. He pushes a half mug of ale onto your side of the table and picks up one of his own. He then turns and looks to each of you on the table, raises his mug to each of you. Here's for another, what I'm assuming is a successful venture on your part.
I'll drink to that, and I've been waiting for a drink to come my way ever since I got to this table, so I'll happily drink right up.
He then leans back a little. Oh fuck, I'm never good with Varnex. Are you joining, or are you going to stare into the fire like a sad little man all day long?
I slowly turn my head. I don't respond, but I do get up to get some food because I am hungry.
So you see as you grab what little scraps remain, there's a couple of bits of bread and some cheese and whatnot. He holds up a half mug of ale, just raised eyebrows looking toward you. He shakes it a little bit, so do you want it?
Yeah, I just shake my head.
He nods.
Yeah, sorry if I'm sounding a little bit down, it's just for the past week I've had the worst chest infection and I'm still recovering, so I'm still 100%.
That's fine.
That's fair enough. If anything, that kind of helps towards the whole role-playing sort of thing, considering how drowsy your character's been.
Good to know, thank you.
That's all good.
Sorry, I've just been coughing non-stop, that's why I've got my mic on mute because I keep coughing.
Oh, fair enough. Hope it's not too bad, mate.
It's recovering, it's just a slow, steady road.
It's a bit down now.
Anyway, give me my food.
So yeah, you pick up some small bits and pieces. You kind of cobble together a weak sandwich, is what we'll call it, and just manage to eat enough to sustain yourself. And you don't really feel any better. You feel slightly more full, but with everything going on, it's like throwing a stone into a black hole. But as another 20-30 minutes or so go by, you guys talk amongst yourselves towards some of the villagers. Is there anything in particular in character you guys want to talk about?
There's something I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You said Severus was drinking ale, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna copy him. Movement for movement.
Of course you're gonna mimic the big guy. I love that.
Seemingly unintentionally, a lot of when he's picking up something or taking some food or drink and placing something back down, he's very heavy-handed. He is very much a full body, excess musculatured man, and every now and again you'll just hear as a slam on the table happens. It's never enough to damage the table or anything, but it's it's audible enough that you know which direction and from who it comes from. And as you're like copying him every now and again, as you're like slamming the table, I'll say because of your unique anatomy, you do kind of like embed some of your spines into the table sometimes, and it's just like, damn it, hold on one second. Yeah, he does.
You know how he can like take the mug and just like fling it up and drink. I'm gonna do the same, but I'm not very elegant in understanding of it. I'm just like gonna grab it with both hands and then just lift it up quickly and open my mouth.
Make a dexterity check.
All right. Why did I pick the mouse? I can't use this shit. There you go.
Okay. So as you grab it with both hands, quickly just like throw it up towards your face, and you open your mouth, and just suddenly you get this large splash of ale in your face. You do drink some of it though, but the rest of it kind of just like slowly trickles down from your eyebrows, down over your eyes, along your cheeks, down towards your chin. Your face is just covered. The guy to the left of you kind of just looks. There's a couple of chuckles in around the table. The guy to the left of you pulls a small like rag and passes it to you.
I'm gonna grab it and I'm gonna like use it as best as I can without like ruining it.
Kind of like gentle like dabs. Slowly you take it off your face and kind of just like pass this damp rag back. He looks as if he's going to try and pinch it somewhere where it's not wet. Kind of like grabs it, and he does that face where he's picked a wet part of it, and he gently just places it back in the middle of the table. Looks at you and just kind of does a half-hearted smile, and then his head turns away.
I'm gonna just smile back at him.
The guy at the end of the table, to your above you on the map, the furthest side, looks over toward you and just he kind of pushes a freshly made ale toward you. Gives you a kind of grin and gives you a thumbs up.
I grab it with both hands. I try to be a little bit more gentle this time.
Okay. This time as you pick it up and push it towards your face, you can just give yourself enough of a chance. As you throw it back, this time it's just full drawn. You drink it all in one. And Severus, who now as you look over is like 4 drinks deep, doing the same. He looks over toward you with the corner of his eyes as he's pulling another one up toward his mouth. He takes this big, hearty swig out of nowhere. He glares at you. And you know that he thinks you're trying to challenge him.
I'm just staring back at him with wide eyes. Like a deer caught in headlights. And I'm just holding the empty mug.
See as he places the ale, the now emptied cup, down. The guy at the end of the table, who'd passed you a new ale, you see he disappears off for a second. Goes over to a series of crates and pulls one open, pulls out what looks to be 2 bottles of a fine wine of some kind. Places them down on the table. How's about we have a drinking game between you two? I can tell a challenge coming on. Edric immediately leans forward in his chair and goes, someone's having a drinking game.
Eric sort of puts his hand on the chair and slams his mug on the table and goes,
"Oh, is that third bottle going? Always down for a challenge."
The guy with the 2 bottles pulls the corks off the top of the pair of them at once, places them on the table. How's about we make it interesting though? Firstly, who's joining in this? Because why don't we place some bets down? However,
What sort of bets do you have in mind?
well, you see around here we don't usually use money because most of us are just village folk, but how about we put some kind of some resources down? I've got quite a bit of fresh cuts of meat. I'm not going to participate. I want to be a judge. But my friend here, the other guy next to him, he pats his shoulder. You'll be my surrogate, my substitute, won't you, buddy? And then he looks over toward him, then looks toward you, looks over at Savras with slightly wider eyes and goes, as he turns and looks over toward him, you see the guy who was speaking, he's got this big wide grin. Alright, yeah, sure, I do. Have you seen the size of him?
Are you sure? You don't sound very confident, mate. I sort of look over to the other side of the table and I just say, I'll take your funds if you want to sponsor me. I'll take a crack. I sort of like turn at Severus.
Severus just kind of looking amongst everyone at the table, just looking over each of you as he's taking another swig of ale. You see the man at the back who's proposing it goes, well, alright, if my friend here won't participate. The guy stands up from his chair, pushes it in, steps back a little bit, observes. This lady over here steps back a little as well. The guy at the back, who has been casually narrating for Brick, says, just so that I can still translate for your buddy here, I'm probably not going to join, but he apparently is very interested. You see Brick is like gently slamming onto the table with a rhythm, a drum beat almost, and it's chanting one word, and the translator goes, oh, he's saying drink a lot, by the way, drink, etc, etc.
I want to join him. Not in chanting, just in slamming the table.
Okay, so who is joining in the drinks? For context, this game will... the things you'll be gambling are anything that isn't gold, essentially. So, food, weapons, items, etc. Anything that's not gold, pretty much. And the more the value... the more valuable it is considered to the village, aka to the guy who's proposing this, the more value you have. So people will have to either raise or give up, or so on and so forth. And whoever's the last remaining gets the pot.
He said he would sponsor me because I'm stepping in his mate's place, isn't he?
He hasn't said it yet, but he will.
I sort of like, Gag sort of like leans in and just says, shall we go a little bit closer in the middle so we can get this competition underway?
Okay. So anyone who is participating, remain at the table. Otherwise, push yourself just on the outskirts of it.
Is this a game?
I sort of lean over and look at Nadissa and just say, yeah, we're seeing who can drink the most.
Yeah, I'm going into a fight I'm going to lose, so yeah, I'm just gonna watch.
Okay.
Can Nadissa use this? I'm gonna pull like the rag I have all my meat in up on the table.
So the referee looks over at it. He kind of like inspects it for a couple of seconds. He notices it's somewhat fresh and goes, "Yeah, that'll do. Yeah. Did you hunt this recently? This looks very well sliced as well. I'll give you that."
Nadissa used her teeth.
That's a lot less clean than I thought it was going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and deduct a little bit for that. But thank you for your honesty. But yeah, you can use that. So, out of game context, everyone place down something for your starter value. anything that you guys are going to place down, I will write down. I will need the specific name of what it is and quantity. So, firstly, the rag of meats. Is it literally just assorted chunks of meat, or is there a specific ration value?
Yes, I have 6 days of boar meat left, and I imagine now that I've literally cut it up into chunks. So I imagine there's 6 chunks left of boar meat.
So are you using all 6 or just the one?
Well, just one, I guess.
Okay. Cool. Connor, what are you putting on the table?
Am I being sponsored, or am I just needing to put something down anyway?
Oh no, yeah, no, he'll be sponsoring you. Hold on. So similar to the rations of boar meat, to be like well cut and trimmed and somewhat cooked with a medium variety. It seems to be 2 slices of steak. To start with for your purchase. So that's you two, so then it's everybody's boy. Let me just make sure I've got the people who need. Okay, so we've got Severus, we got Brick and Edric. Who doesn't love an impromptu gamble? Okay. So Edric will place down he will place down 3 days worth of regular rations because he doesn't really have much. Our dear boy Brick will casually pull out from his back pouch and place down a hunting trap that seems to be unused. And Severus will place down a single, what looks to be like ruby gem. For statistical value is worth 10 gold pieces, by the way. Okay, so to start with, the drink support. Each of you take a quick swig and down it as quick as you can. After the first one is done, there is that slight bubbling for a second where it's getting used to a new drink after drinking ales for quite a number of minutes. The second one is poured out between each of you. What is everyone's constitution, aka Nidissa and Carrick?
Are we talking modifier, or are we talking...
General.
My constitution is 16.
Mine is 17.
Ooh. Okay. And Edric has that. Okay. It was 16, wasn't it, Connor?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. So, after that second drink, you notice Edric kind of holds his mouth for a second as you see this little, like, burp come from him. A third drink is brought out between you all. And as a third one is had. Okay. Edric's still going well. On the fourth drink, very quickly shotted, you notice as both Edric and Brick start to show some signs, we'll say. And then the fifth Diddly-dee. Oh, Edric, hell yeah. So, on the 5th round, your dear bug boy, as he's drinking, he barely gets through halfway through it, and then you notice he very quickly just like drops the mug, splashes a little bit of wine across the table. He throws his head beneath the table, and you just hear as he is poisoned and throws up.
Has he still got drink remaining in his?
Oh no, he spilled it.
Uh,
And your boy,
I will look under the table.
as you look under the table, kind of curious, you see there is this series of just slightly green and little tiny pieces of what look to be like cubes of maybe some kind of meat. Definitely sick, either way. It's mostly liquid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, as the 6th drink is poured, Connor, give me a constitution save.
okay. Can I do an inspiration on that?
Sure. Nice. So, as Brick falls out of the running, as you and Edric are drinking, there is this moment where you feel a bubbling, and for a second you feel that god awful shivering along your body. You then take this small breath mid-drink. You hold it to your lips and take a quick breath and drain the drink down, shunting back the urge. Poor Edric, however, as he takes the drink, slams it down, looks across with that big smile, and then all of a sudden that smile very quickly drops, and you see as he's like looking off into the distance, and you see he places both of his hands under the table in front of him, pushes himself back along the chair, stands up, looks over toward you each. He doesn't say anything, just gives you a nod and starts to walk away, and then very quickly runs. Doesn't even get to the entrance before you just hear
Yikes.
you also then hear, "I fuck you!" Poof! And Edric gets punched as this guy throws up on his shoes.
I sort of look amongst Nadissa and Sabris with a sort of like look, and just sort of like run my hand on my chin and just look at them both. Like, alright.
By now, each of you would start to feel that little bit of warmth and maybe like small redness around the cheeks, and feeling kind of, feeling kind of good. It's a little bit warm, but it's good. Drink's actually really nice. It's not you could inhale it kind of drink, but at the same time it's not you don't want to touch it. It's that gentle middle. And
It's on the edge of finery.
yeah. As the 7th drink is brought, give me another con save, and also for Nadissa, please.
You got it, buddy.
Do you want to redo that one, Stefan, with inspiration, or?
Do I have inspiration?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Okay.
I have a natural poison resistance.
You
that help?
do, actually, to be fair. Although, to be fair, as well, I would have said that would have been you take whatever the advantage would be, which is still 12. So,
That is still 12.
unfortunately, you feel weird. I feel like it wouldn't be right to say Nadissa has really experienced a lot of alcohol before.
Probably never.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, especially with your poison resistance, even if you did, it would have been like you maybe would have had one drink and it's just like, oh, this makes me feel weird. But all of a sudden, your stomach is like turning, and you don't feel too good. And as you're like holding the drink, your eyes are a little bit blurry, and you're trying to focus directly in front of you, but it's just not working. And then you just feel this something climbing up your chest, as if some kind
Oh
of
wait,
bug is crawling out of you. Yep.
was I supposed to do a save?
Oh yeah. What's the difference between the save and the normal?
Not much. Continue.
Oh, it's literally 3. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, literally 3.
Feels
So it's the same. Okay, continue.
It feels as if something's trying to crawl out of you and go up through your throat. What would your immediate reaction be?
React
Probably-
like there's a chest burster.
Hmm?
React like there's a chest burster in Aliens.
I imagine there'd be a lot of funny faces, and I imagine she'd like drop her drink.
Cling, cling, cling. Just suddenly this spill of what little liquid remained. And as you're like making those funny faces, you kind of like lean back in your chair, maybe like grab tight, and then all of a sudden you just feel like, which direction do you point?
I actually just think she'd go down on all fours.
It's like, just suddenly like a cat coughing up a hairball.
Yeah.
Yeah. Out of nowhere, just. And as you manage to spew, you feel so much better, but also so horrible at the same time. And as you're throwing up this just pool of what looks to be like almost a mixture of greeny red liquid on the ground, your whole body is just like so suddenly exhausted. As you take your 7th drink, as a 8th is passed out, the ref is like sat down at the table, taking little sips himself, looking over each of you. He's got the finger pyramid of doom as he's looking over at you, Carrick, with that kind of surprise of how well you're doing. So, give me another con save, Connor.
I sort of grab that drink and I look to Severus as I drink.
Oh, hold on. You and Severus, as you're looking at each other, there's this almost like Wild West, like quiet, a single little bundle of hay running across in the distance as you're looking at each other. Your eyes both squint as you stare. You can feel the need to throw up. You can see in his eyes that there's a weakness there for him too. And you're both looking at each other. Give me another Constitution save. This will be a Constitution save off to determine who goes first. As you're looking at each other, just finishing off the drink, almost forcing it down, you both slam the mugs down, looking at each other. There's this irregular breathing pattern between the pair of you. And you're trying to hold it in, and you see that he is like, his eyes are like closing, and there's this small telltale sign he's resisting as well. And you can't hold it anymore, and you just kind of like
I shake my head just as I feel it coming, and I just look very regretful. I lightly punch the table. I throw up on the floor.
as you do that, his head nods
And I hold
slowly.
myself up on the table.
His head nods slowly, and then you just hear all of a sudden, as a portion of the items on the table are pulled from the table, as he turns his head away, and he then throws up as well. And as it comes to its finale, Severus is the winner by barely a couple of seconds. And as each of you throw yourselves against your chairs and just kind of take gentle breaths, waters are dished out to each of you. You are each given a small half of bread to try soak up any of the alcohol. The rest of the wine is taken far away from all of you drunkards. And round about this point, it's gotten to be about 10 p.m. While all that was going on, Halfir has purchased some things. He's gone back to his tent. He's spent time with his own pentacore, been trying to analyse some things, reading a couple of his old research notes and just doing his own thing. Lilith has been talking with the heads of the village and the mercenary leader and, of course, your boy Reginald. Visited the herbalists and just kind of done her own thing, avoiding most of all of what you guys are doing at the minute. The doors to his have been open for quite a bit. Vonix, as they've been drinking, would there have been anything that you would be doing?
No, just meditating, let time pass.
Each of you that put something down for the bet, you of course will unfortunately lose that to Saphras. Though, if it helps any, other than the hunting trap, the next morning he will cook for all of you using the ingredients that you have lost, and he will put on a big feast for the village. And surprisingly, he's a very good cook. So that's the 1 ration of boar meat from Nidissa, the 2 steaks from the guy, the 3 bits of rations from it was Edric, and the hunting trap. So but yeah, before all that, you all kind of just, if you want to carry on the rest of your night, and there's not exactly much else to do outside of drinking and chatting with the people of the village and each other. Sol, what would you have been doing while they were doing all that?
Watching gleefully at all of them puking their yeah.
Their respective guts.
Made some popcorn.
Throw them at them as they're like halfway between comatose and boo.
If you lose, I'm throwing a popcorn while yelling boo.
Boo. Just pick up a bunch and just throw it at them.
At the time, Carrick, if you have thrown any at Carrick will drunkenly look at you in response and be like, you didn't even drink, you can't judge. And I'll just slap the table, so like nonchalantly, like I'm slapping the back of someone. I'll be like, yeah.
As you do that, as your like hand is rested there, it feels weirdly hairy, whatever it is you slapped. And then you kind of look, and you see Brick is there, just like, his head is on the table, and you've got your hand on his shoulder. And then you just look at him, and he's just fucking flat out.
I'll be like, Brick. You don't look so good, are you? Slow.
I'm going to comprehend language and translate.
Oh, Brick is unconscious.
I think he's sleeping, mate. You don't need to conjure up the script to talk to him and have conversations. He's sleeping. Where did Nissa go?
If he looks up, he's gonna see me trying to climb this fence to get water.
So
Make a dexterity check with disadvantage.
I will. Do as you command.
Fair enough. as you're like scampering over on all fours, you kind of pull yourself up, grab onto the rails, and just throw yourself over. As you throw yourself over, most people would look at it like you're about to fall into the drink, but you land an inch away from it, gently on your feet with cat-like reflexes, twist, turn around, fall to your knees with intention, and start just taking sips of water.
You ain't never catching a monk slipping.
Never mind. Our spiky friend seems to weirdly know what they're doing drunk.
Oh, I want to like completely like roll into the trough.
You see the
And as you roll into the trough, I'm gonna say, "Oh no,
you just hear the splashing
Yeah.
and hey, get out of that! That's not for you.
Nadessa, you need to get out. I'll give you food.
Okay. What? This feels funny.
This is going to feel pain tomorrow.
Eric's
lie
gonna
there.
attempt to stand up."
I'm gonna lie down in the trough. Just gonna keep lying there.
As
I feel
you're
very comfortable.
as you're lying there, you feel this weird like warmth on your shoulder. You can't really explain what it is, and you kind of just you're just enjoying the gentle cold or pseudo cold from the waters running over you, and then you just see a face over yours, the face of a very angered, elderly-looking woman looking down at you with her hand on your shoulder, just shaking you, throttling you in the water.
Yeah.
Darnex, we're going to need some help here. Let's pull her out.
I guess we pull her out.
Okay. So as you two walk over, I would say specifically because you two would actually look for it, but you would see a gate that's literally right there.
Mm.
And you just kind of see it. You kind of walk over, walk inside, and just kind of grab a leg, grab some arms, and just kind of 1, 2, 3, and picking this up by arms and legs and pull her out of the water. The woman looks over. She's got that kind of face of like massive disappointment, and she's slowly shaking her head.
She's not used to it. Forget her. She won't get in here again.
It's okay. It's not the first time someone's fallen into the water.
Why am I not surprised?
I want to stand up. Like, just take a second, and then I'm gonna shake all the water off like a dog.
Nah, we're carrying you out first.
No.
We're
Friendly.
carrying you out
I
first.
will do it immediately.
Make a strength check to see if you can get out of what is essentially them holding you.
I'm not very strong.
Yeah, no, I'm not even gonna have them do a check against it. You're just like trying to like wriggle while being held. And it's
Sort of like at best doing a shoulder shimmy to try
Yeah.
and shake, but realise you can't do much.
And as you two are like slowly carrying by legs and arms out through the gate, you can kind of take or do what you want with her.
I think we should put next to the fire so she could dry out a bit sick on top of having a major headache tomorrow morning.
Eric's gonna take a very wobbly yet firm stand up. And he's going to walk over to Severus.
Okay. You,
And sort of like drunkly takes a standoff look at him.
as you're looking at him, he isn't looking back. He's looking straight forward. Still sparkling in the like, but he's
I'll sort of
Not
look at him
moving
and be
much.
like, "Hey, you can really hold your drink."
again. He's weirdly he's still staring forward.
Hey, are you... are you good, mate?
As you say that, you hear this quiet like.
I'm gonna walk closer and put my hand on his shoulder and give it a slight, like sort of like push back and pull for, sort of like a push back and pull forward to sort of like gently stir him.
As you do that, you have a clear view of his face, and his eyes are still open. And as you like push him back and forth, he's completely out. Like you have no way to understand why, what, but he is sleeping with his eyes closed.
You mean his eyes open?
Open, yeah. Sorry.
I sort of look and I'm like, "Hey, mate, are you sleeping with your eyes open?"
As your like hand still on his shoulder, he doesn't seem to respond. He's still looking forward. You like push him back and forth, like kind of rocking him almost, and no response. No changing. He doesn't suddenly like tense up or anything. He's flat sleeping.
I sort of look at him and I sort of like mumble to myself, going, "Jeez, if he's cold already, I should have bloody won that." Just sort of like take my hand off his shoulder and just drunkenly stagger forward, and just sort of like have a little look around the area and just take it in deep inhales of oxygen to just try and still trying to clear my stomach due to the fact it's still feeling bubbly from drinking that much. But I'm just at this point just wondering a bit and just saying somewhat audibly loud, being like, "Man, I can't believe the guy's sleeping with his eyes open.
As you
How am I still standing? Ugh. I feel weird." Oh god.
As you say that, Lilith is kind of like walking around. She looks over towards Avarice, starts to walk up to him. It's like the night of the living dead with him. He always sleeps like this.
I sort of like turn my head in response to this and be like, "Oh, you're the woman the guy's bodyguarding."
You see, she's like looking at Savras, looks over toward you. The name is Lilith. It would be respectful if you would remember that, as I know what your name is.
I'm not great with names of people of just.
You should go to bed.
Pardon me. I sort of look and I just say, "I think I may have made him drink a bit too much."
Oh no. Savras is rather experienced with horrible metabolizing. He kind of goes unconscious and then his body figures it out for him. He'll be fine. But you should go to bed. And I'm just going to, you see she puts one hand on his forehead, one on the back of his head, and slowly lowers it onto the table, and then tilts his head so his cheeks are on the table instead. There we go. Maybe I should. And then she puts a very tiny, like, what looks to be like blindfold over his eyes. Yeah, that's just a little bit weird, even for my standards. Ties it up around the back of his head. So now his eyes are covered.
It's like got a mask on for sleeping.
It's actually very helpful. Especially if you're...
Sort of like a reverse bandit.
Sure. It's more to keep the sun out of his eyes when he wakes, and to make sure that Nobody sees the weirdness of somebody who's sleeping with his eyes open.
Yeah,
Normally,
that's true.
I catch him.
The sun is blinding.
Well, I'm going to go to bed. I don't know what the rest of you are doing, but my version of sleeping is typically sitting up with a book until the sun comes, so if anybody would like to talk, I will be around.
I'm not really much of a reader, but I'll consider it. Enjoy your book.
You really should go to bed.
Maybe.
She kind of starts stepping forward, and there's almost like a menace to her as she starts stepping forward. No, you should go to bed.
Where is my...
She kind of,
my tent is beige and it's square.
she kind of like immediately looks toward the tent itself.
Looking at majority of the tents looks square.
She
I think the others know where my bed is, but I sort of look back and I just say, Brick's kind of asleep. Don't know where the others are.
She turns and looks to both Sol and Varnex sitting at the table. Yes, I as well can't tell where they could be.
I sort of do I need to make a roll to realise where they are? Because I've only noticed Brick.
Perception.
Okay.
I'm going to duck under the table.
Does
You,
does Varnex duck under the table as well?
Nah.
you just see a slightly, we'll say, gloomier Varnex, though in your current state it wouldn't be much of a difference to what you're aware of. You see Varnex in the corner of your eye just about, but he's kind of a red blur.
There's Varnex. I sort of like wave my hand over very like a puppet on string sort of like motion, very jagged and not really much control.
I nonchalantly wave back.
Where's my tent again? I can't remember. Oh God, hiccuping.
I point to the one above, if memory serves that was the one he was at.
I sort of looked to Lilith quite enthusiastically and just said, I told you it was square.
She stares, then points to it and goes, well, that means now you can go to bed. So you should go to bed.
Not that.
You know, that
Tired.
was a biological sign that you and your body are in disagreement.
No, it's not.
Don't make me cast a spell on you. You're very susceptible right now.
Why did you want to cast spells on me? Can you start, Carrick? 1 second. I'm just gonna do a roll. What? Yep. Carrick starts to tear up slightly and goes, why'd you want to cast magic on me? I didn't do anything.
You see, she pulls her hand up, winds her fingers around in a circle, like she's grabbing something from the air, and holds her hand forward. You see, her fingers are grasped into a fist, and she shows you she shows you her palm. And you see in her palm, as her fingers spread open, you see what looks to be like little bits of like starlight almost. They seem to like catch your eye. And there's this weird moment where it's like a pseudo form of confusion, where you get set to point zero, where once you'd have been incredibly like drunk and emotional and everything's just like really weird and everything's everything at once. Suddenly you're just staring forward at this shining light, and there's a curiosity more than anything else. And then she points toward it, and you feel this sensation to grab this whatever it is from her hand. Make a wisdom save.
Right.
Disadvantage.
Okay. Disadvantage as well, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Wisdom save.
Let me just double check, because I don't actually know.
Oh, wow. Probably the best disadvantage saving throw I've ever done. Actually, wait, no, there's a time I got a 20 and a natural 20.
Hers is... Yes, literally fucking 16. So, as you are moving forward, that sensation to want to grasp whatever it is fades, and you kind of return to this like staggered drunkenness where you were like, you have this weird like realization that you were in a daze, and now as you look forward you see there's nothing in her hand, and
I sort of like lean back and I'm like, point with my right hand and finger and I point out and just say, didn't you just have something? Didn't you just have something in that arm?
with her hand open, still pointing toward you, she looks at you with a raised eyebrow and goes, no, it was my open hand.
I could have sworn I saw glimmering. Nah, that doesn't make sense. Oh god.
You see,
I'm
she,
tired.
she steps forward, kind of like gently grabs your wrist and kind of motions towards your tent as if she's trying to lead you.
Oh, she can do that, and I'm literally walking. She could lead me with ease.
And she moves across with you. She, holding very lightly, as if at any point, even like regardless of strength, you could just break free. As she leads you over, she stops you directly in front of it, lets go of your wrist and says, I enjoyed the company today, but you need to take care of yourself and get some rest. I will have Severus cook in the morning.
Yeah, it's sort of like you see. Well, Garrick starts to take off like his armor and stuff, very drunkenly and with a bit of a struggle. You sound. Other than I don't think I've ever met anyone named Severus before. That's quite a weird name. You sound a little bit like.
Sure. A bit of trivia for you. Severus is actually named after the supposed deity of beauty, and as well as the deity of sand, but I don't know what the connection is between the two. Because sand was originally meant to be in its... Then she kind of just looks over at you, half alive. I will tell you when you
look
are
over
conscious.
and you just hear the tonks of just the just the drop of the chainmail just coming off there.
I will tell you the story when you are more conscious. I'm going to go now. Goodbye.
Enjoy your book.
She kind of like closes the folds of the tent. Comes back over. As she sits down, she grabs one of the mugs, pulls a small vial out from one of her pouches that seems to exude this gentle cold air, and kind of covers the vial mostly, pours in the contents into the mug, and then just kind of looks into the mug for a little bit. And then does a very hearty sigh, and her gaze looks up toward you, Varnix, and you, Sol, as the only two surviving members. So, it would have appeared that you had found something while we were down there, Varnix. Do you need any more help with that? Because I had a little meeting with your expedition leader and the mercenary lady. I might not be sticking around for much longer. I'm being sent a little bit further up north for some research purposes.
I can't tell you what anything about regarding the Pentacores. I have no experience with magic. Sol may be able to tell you a little bit more.
No, I was meaning more your items. With your, I don't think you ever told us what it was that you were searching for.
Oh no, Lee, I never told them. Yeah, so they wouldn't know.
But you did get a pearl last session.
Didn't we all get a pearl?
You got a slightly different one.
Oh,
She did get a chance to identify it and told you it was part of Gilgamesh's gear, essentially, a part of the staff.
oh alright, I'm just gonna write that in my notes.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I've just noticed the time as well, so I'm gonna call it here for my own sake. Is there any last minute questions?
No, not really.
Okay.
I'd like to fall asleep on the hay bales. That's it.
Okay. As expected, with a first time drunk, you end up somewhere completely opposed to where you should be. Although, to be fair, for a place to end up isn't too bad.
I mean, except it's a shooting range.
Gotta wake up in the morning to people confused as to why the hay bale suddenly has more arrowheads pointing out of it. Okay. Then I guess I will